I've been sitting on this for months now, and I finally need to get it out. I'm sorry if this gets long, but I need to tell the whole story for it to make sense. When my brother Jake graduated high school 3 years ago, my parents threw him the party of the century. I'm not exaggerating. They rented out the entire community center, hired a DJ, got professional catering, and invited literally everyone they'd ever met. Cousins flew in from 3 different states. My dad's co-workers came. My mom's book club showed up. Even our old neighbors from when we were kids made the drive over. The decorations were insane. Professional balloon arches, a photo backdrop with Jake's senior pictures blown up poster size, custom napkins with his name and graduation year. My mom spent weeks planning every detail. She had a slideshow running on loop with photos of Jake from birth to graduation, set to his favorite songs. The cake alone cost more than some people spend on their weekly groceries. 3 tiers, fondant decorations, the works. I remember standing in that packed room, watching Jake work the crowd like he was running for office. Everyone was congratulating him, telling him how proud they were, asking about his plans for community college. He was beaming, absolutely glowing with all the attention. And honestly, I was happy for him. Jake had struggled through high school, not with grades exactly, but with motivation. Getting him to actually show up to class senior year had been a family effort. So when he walked across that stage, it felt like a real achievement. My parents gave speech after speech that night. My dad got choked up talking about how proud he was of his son. My mom cried actual tears telling everyone how Jake had grown into such a wonderful young man. They presented him with a brand new laptop for college, keys to a used car they'd bought him, and announced they were paying for his first year at the local community college. The party lasted until almost midnight. I helped clean up afterward, stacking chairs and throwing away plates covered in cake crumbs, listening to my parents rehash every moment. Did you see how surprised Jake was? The look on his face when we gave him the car keys. I think Mrs. Henderson took 100 photos. I was genuinely happy that night. My little brother deserved recognition, and seeing my parents so proud felt good. I figured when my turn came, it would be just as special. Fast forward 3 years. I graduated last month from State University with a bachelor's degree in engineering, summa cum laude. For those who don't know, that means I graduated with highest honors, a 3.9 GPA. I was also president of the Engineering Student Society, had 2 internships under my belt, and already had a job offer lined up with a major tech company starting at $75,000 a year. Getting to this point wasn't easy. I worked my ass off for 4 years. While Jake was enjoying his gap years, he ended up dropping out of community college after 1 semester. I was pulling all-nighters in the library, surviving on coffee and determination. I worked part-time at a campus coffee shop to help with expenses. I applied for every scholarship I could find. I spent summers doing unpaid internships to build my resume instead of coming home to relax. The engineering program at my school is brutal. We started with 200 students in my freshman year. By senior year, only 47 of us walked across that stage. The coursework is designed to weed people out. Calculus 3, differential equations, thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, classes that made grown students cry. I watched classmates switch majors left and right because they couldn't handle the pressure, but I stuck with it. Even when I was sure I was going to fail linear algebra. Even when my materials science professor told me I should consider an easier major. Even when I had to retake organic chemistry because I got a C+ the first time and that wasn't good enough for my standards. Junior year was the worst. I was taking 18 credit hours, working 20 hours a week at the coffee shop, and dealing with my first real relationship falling apart because I never had time for anything fun. I called my parents crying one night, completely overwhelmed, ready to quit everything and move back home. Just stick with it, honey, my mom said. It'll all be worth it in the end. My dad got on the phone too. We believe in you. You're stronger than you know. Their support kept me going during the darkest moments. When I wanted to give up, I thought about making them proud. I imagined their faces when I finally graduated, when all the sacrifice and hard work paid off. Senior year was different. The finish line was in sight, and somehow that made everything easier. My grades actually improved, Straight A's both semesters. I started feeling confident about my future for the first time in years. I got inducted into the Engineering Honor Society. I won an award for my senior capstone project. The job offers started rolling in. But the best part was thinking about graduation day. After watching Jake's celebration, I had been planning my own party in my head for years. I imagined my parents crying proud tears as I walked across that stage in my cap and gown. I pictured all our family and friends cheering when they called my name and announced my honors. I fantasized about my dad giving a speech about his daughter, the engineer, and my mom showing off my diploma to anyone who would look. 3 months before graduation, I brought it up. So, I said during one of our weekly phone calls, graduation is May 15th. I know it's a Saturday, but I wanted to give you guys plenty of notice to request time off work and maybe start thinking about plans. Oh, that's wonderful, sweetheart, my mom said. We're so proud of you. I was thinking maybe we could do something similar to Jake's party. Obviously not exactly the same, but maybe rent a space and invite the family? I know Aunt Linda has been asking about graduation, and I think Grandma and Grandpa would love to come. There was a pause. Well, let's see how things go, my dad said. May is pretty busy for us with work and everything. I figured they were just being cautious about planning too far ahead. My parents are practical people. They like to nail down details closer to actual dates. 2 months before graduation, I brought it up again. The ceremony starts at 2 p.m., I told them. I can get you guys tickets. The engineering college ceremony is separate from the main university one, so it's smaller and more intimate. They actually call each student's name individually and announce their honors. That sounds nice, my mom said. We'll definitely try to make it. Try to make it? The phrasing seemed odd, but I didn't push. I chalked it up to them being busy and distracted. 1 month before graduation, I was getting anxious about the lack of planning. Hey, so graduation is coming up fast. Do you guys want me to look into renting the community center like you did for Jake? Or maybe we could do something at the house. I don't need anything huge, but it would be nice to celebrate with everyone. You know what, honey, my dad said, things are really crazy at work right now. Maybe we should just keep it low-key this year. Low-key. For a college graduation with highest honors. After 4 years of brutal coursework and sleepless nights. After everything I'd accomplished. But I told myself it was fine. Not everyone needs a big party. The important thing was having my family there to watch me walk across that stage. 2 weeks before graduation, my mom called with news that made my stomach drop. So Jake decided he wants to try going back to school, she announced, like this was the most exciting thing in the world. There's a program at the community college that starts in June, automotive technology. He's really interested in working on cars. That's great, Mom. I'm happy for him. The thing is, he needs to get his transcript sorted out and meet with an advisor, and the only time they could fit him in is the week of your graduation. Your dad, and I thought we should drive down with him to help him get everything set up. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. So, you're not coming to my graduation? Well, we want to, but you know how Jake is with paperwork and official stuff. He gets overwhelmed. And this program could really be good for him. It's hands-on, practical. Much more his speed than traditional college. Mom, I graduate in 2 weeks. I've been working toward this for 4 years. I know, honey, and we're so proud of you. But you're so independent and capable. You don't really need us there. Jake needs more support right now. I sat there holding the phone, completely speechless. You don't really need us there. Like my graduation was just some casual event I was inviting them to, not the culmination of the hardest 4 years of my life. What if I moved the party to a different weekend? I asked, hating how desperate I sounded. We could celebrate after Jake gets his stuff sorted out. Let's just play it by ear, my dad said when my mom put him on speaker. See how things go. That was it. No promises, no alternatives suggested, no acknowledgement of how important this was to me. The week before graduation, I called one more time. So, it looks like you guys aren't coming? We're really sorry, sweetheart, my mom said. But Jake's been so stressed about this whole school thing, and you know how he gets when he's anxious. We just think it's important to be there for him right now. What about being there for me? You're going to do great with or without us there. You always do. I hung up and cried for an hour. Graduation day arrived gray and drizzly, which felt appropriate for my mood. I put on my cap and gown alone in my tiny apartment, took a few selfies, and drove myself to campus. The ceremony was beautiful, everything I had imagined. The dean gave an inspiring speech about our class being the future leaders of technology and innovation. They called each of our names individually, announcing our honors and special achievements. When they called mine, Sarah Michelle Thompson, summa cum laude, president of the Engineering Student Society, recipient of the Outstanding Senior Award, I heard a few classmates cheer. But when I looked out into the audience, scanning for familiar faces, there was nothing. Just empty seats where my family should have been. After the ceremony, I watched my classmates pose for photos with their families. Parents crying proud tears, grandparents beaming, siblings making bunny ears behind graduates' heads. Everyone had someone there. Everyone except me. My friend Katie found me sitting alone on a bench outside the engineering building, still in my cap and gown. "Hey, where's your family?" she asked. "I thought they were coming." "They couldn't make it," I said, trying to sound casual. "Last-minute thing." Katie looked confused. "But it's your graduation. From engineering. With highest honors." I just shrugged, not trusting myself to speak without crying. "Come on," she said, pulling me up. "You're celebrating with my family. My mom already said she's claiming you as her honorary daughter for the day." Katie's family was wonderful. Her parents congratulated me, asked about my job prospects, and insisted on taking a million photos. Her mom even cried a little when I told her about my honors. It was exactly the reaction I had hoped to get from my own parents. But it wasn't the same. They were being kind to their daughter's friend, not celebrating their own child's achievement. That night, I called my parents to let them know I had graduated. "Congratulations," my mom said. "How did it go?" "It was nice. They announced my honors and everything." "That's wonderful, honey. We're so proud of you." "How did things go with Jake?" "Oh, great. He got everything sorted out. He starts classes next month. We found him a really nice apartment close to campus, and your dad's going to help him move in this weekend." They found him an apartment. They were helping him move for a certificate program at community college that he might or might not finish. Meanwhile, I had just graduated with highest honors from one of the top engineering programs in the state, and they couldn't even be bothered to show up. "Are we going to celebrate at all?" I asked. "Maybe when I come home next weekend?" "Of course. We'll take you out to dinner or something." Dinner. After Jake got a 3-day party with 100 guests, professional catering, and a car. I didn't go home that weekend. Or the next one. I threw myself into my new job, moved to a different city, and started building a life that didn't revolve around seeking my parents' approval. But here's the thing that really gets me. It's not even about the party. I mean, yes, the double standard hurts. Yes, it's painful to see your brother get celebrated for the bare minimum while your actual achievements get ignored. But what really breaks my heart is the message it sent. Jake needed them, so they showed up. I didn't need them, so they didn't bother. Except I did need them. I needed them to witness what I had accomplished. I needed them to understand how hard I had worked and how much I had overcome. I needed them to be proud enough to show up. When I was struggling through those brutal engineering classes, calling home in tears, they told me to stick with it because it would all be worth it in the end. But when the end came, when I had actually done it, when I had achieved something genuinely remarkable, they had somewhere else to be. The worst part is, I don't think they even realize what they did. In their minds, they were just being practical parents helping the child who needed more support. They probably think I'm being dramatic for caring so much about just a ceremony. But it wasn't just a ceremony. It was 4 years of my life. It was proof that all the sacrifice and struggle meant something. It was the moment I had been working toward since I was 18 years old. And they missed it for paperwork. I've been trying to process this for months now. I've gone through anger, hurt, disappointment, and everything in between. Some days I think I'm overreacting. Other days I think I should cut them off entirely. The truth is, this isn't really about graduation. This is about a pattern I'm just now starting to see clearly. Growing up, Jake was always the one who needed saving. Bad grades? Mom and Dad hired a tutor. Got in trouble at school? Dad went in for meetings with principals and teachers. Couldn't hold a job? Mom made calls to family friends who might be willing to hire him. Meanwhile, I was the easy kid. Good grades, never in trouble, self-sufficient. So I got less attention, less help, less celebration. My successes were expected, so they didn't warrant much fanfare. Jake's successes were surprising, so they got the full treatment. I understand the logic, I really do. From a parenting perspective, you help the child who's struggling and let the capable one handle themselves. But what that taught me was that achievement doesn't matter. Only need matters. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, as they say. So I learned not to squeak. I learned to handle everything myself. I learned that asking for help or attention was selfish because Jake needed it more. I learned that my accomplishments were less important because they came easier to me. Except they didn't come easier. I just didn't complain about how hard they were. The night before that linear algebra exam that I was sure I was going to fail, I studied until 4 a.m., then lay awake the rest of the night having a panic attack. But I didn't call home crying because I knew they'd just tell me to do my best and that everything would work out. The week I was working on my senior capstone project while studying for finals and putting in extra hours at the coffee shop because rent was due, I lived on energy drinks and stress, barely sleeping, constantly on the verge of a breakdown. But I handled it myself because that's what I always did. The months I spent applying for jobs, writing cover letters, preparing for interviews, all while maintaining my grades and my leadership position, I was terrified I wouldn't find anything, that 4 years of hard work would lead to nothing. But I didn't burden my parents with that fear because they had enough to worry about with Jake. I made it look easy because I had learned that struggling openly meant taking resources away from the child who really needed them. So I struggled in silence, and my parents interpreted that silence as proof that I didn't need their support. But I did need their support. I needed them to show up. I needed them to celebrate my victories and acknowledge my struggles. I needed them to see that just because something looks easy from the outside doesn't mean it actually is. I needed them to understand that their capable, independent daughter was still their daughter and that my achievements mattered just as much as Jake's attempts. Most of all, I needed them to be proud enough to show up when it mattered most. 3 months after graduation, Jake dropped out of the automotive program. Apparently, it was too hands-on and he didn't like getting his clothes dirty. My parents are now helping him look into online business courses. Meanwhile, I got promoted at work. I'm designing systems for renewable energy infrastructure, work that I'm genuinely passionate about, and that might actually make a difference in the world. I bought myself a nice apartment and adopted a cat. I'm happy, successful, and independent. But I still haven't forgiven them for missing my graduation. And I don't know if I ever will. Because it's not really about the graduation anymore. It's about what their absence said about how they see me, how they value my achievements, and what they think I deserve. It's about the fact that they taught me to be strong and self-sufficient, then used that strength as an excuse not to show up for me. It's about the painful realization that being the good kid, the one who doesn't cause problems, often means being the forgotten kid. I love my parents, and I know they love me. But I don't think they understand the damage they did by treating my biggest achievement like it was optional, while treating Jake's latest restart like it was the most important thing in the world. They raised me to believe that hard work and dedication matter. Then they showed me that what really matters is being the child who needs the most help. I'm still trying to figure out how to reconcile those two lessons. For now, I'm focusing on building a life where my achievements matter to me, even if they don't seem to matter to anyone else. I'm learning to celebrate my own victories and show up for myself in the ways my parents didn't. But it shouldn't have to be this way. And I think that's what hurts the most. Sometimes the hardest thing about being the easy kid is realizing that you needed them to show up too. You just learn not to ask for it. Update 1. A lot of people have been asking what happened when I finally talked to my parents about this. I wasn't planning to update, but the conversation happened sooner than I expected. My mom called yesterday to tell me that Jake is thinking about trying college again, this time a 4-year degree in something with computers, because he heard that's where the money is. She was so excited, talking about how mature he's gotten and how this time will be different. Something about the way she was going and on about how proud she was of Jake for finally finding his direction just broke something in me. Mom, I interrupted. Do you remember my graduation? Of course, honey. Congratulations again on your new promotion, by the way. Not my promotion. My college graduation. 3 months ago. There was a pause.
Oh,
Yes, of course I remember. Do you remember why you didn't come? Another pause, longer this time. We explained that at the time. Jake needed help with his school situation. His paperwork for a certificate program that he dropped out of 6 weeks later. Well, we couldn't have known that would happen. Mom, I graduated summa cum laude from one of the hardest programs at the university. I had a job lined up making more money than Dad has ever made. And you missed it for paperwork. Honey, you know we're proud of you. Are you? Because I'm not sure you are. That got her attention. What do you mean? Of course we're proud of you. When Jake graduated high school, you threw him a party for 100 people. You rented a venue. You hired a DJ. You bought him a car. When I graduated college with highest honors, you couldn't even show up. That's different. Jake needed the encouragement. You've always been so self-sufficient. I needed encouragement too. I needed you there. But you're doing so well. Look at you, great job, your own place, so independent. Jake needs more help getting on his feet. Mom, do you hear yourself? You're using my success as a reason not to celebrate it. You're punishing me for doing well. She got quiet for a long time. Finally, I never thought of it that way. I know you didn't, but that's what you did. You taught me that achievements don't matter unless you're the one who might fail. You taught me that being capable means being ignored. We never meant to make you feel ignored, but you did. And now Jake is 21 years old, and you're still solving all his problems for him, while I figured everything out myself because I learned early that I wasn't the priority. My mom started crying at this point. I don't know what to say. We were just trying to help him. I needed help too, Mom. I needed you to show up. I needed you to see how hard I worked and tell me you were proud. I needed you to care enough about my achievements to actually be there for them. We do care. We care so much. Then why does Jake get parties and apartments and constant attention for trying, while I get nothing for actually succeeding? She couldn't answer that. My dad got on the phone then. Honey, we never meant to hurt you. But you did hurt me. You really, really hurt me. What can we do to fix this? I don't know if you can. The moment is gone. You can't undo missing my graduation. You can't undo 23 years of treating me like I don't need the same love and attention you give Jake. We love you just as much as Jake. Maybe. But you don't show it the same way. The conversation ended with them promising to think about what I'd said and to try to do better. Mom said something about maybe having a belated graduation party, but honestly, that feels like too little, too late. I think the damage is done. Not just from the graduation, but from years of being taken for granted because I didn't demand attention the way Jake did. I'm working on accepting that I might never get the recognition I wanted from them. But at least now they know how I feel. Whether they actually change, anything remains to be seen. Update 2. It's been 2 weeks since that phone call with my parents, and things have been complicated. 3 days after our conversation, a huge flower arrangement showed up at my office. The card said, "Congratulations on your graduation. We're so proud of you. Love, Mom and Dad." Then my mom called that evening. "Did you get the flowers?" "Yes, thank you. We've been talking a lot about what you said. Your father and we realized we made some mistakes." I didn't say anything, just waited for her to continue. "We want to make it up to you. What if we planned a celebration now? We could invite the whole family, make it really special." "Mom, it's been 3 months. The moment is gone. But we could still celebrate your achievement. Show everyone how proud we are." Where was this pride 3 months ago when it mattered? She was quiet for a while. Then, "You're right. We messed up. We know we can't undo that, but we want to try to do better." Over the next week, both of my parents called me separately. Dad apologized for missing my graduation and admitted they had prioritized Jake unfairly over the years. Mom said she was reflecting on her parenting choices and realized she had taken me for granted. It felt good to hear, but also frustrating. Why did it take me having a breakdown for them to notice the pattern? Then yesterday, my Aunt Linda called. "Honey, I just heard about your graduation. Your mom told me they missed it."
Yeah.
I am so sorry. If I had known, I would have driven down myself. I can't believe they weren't there. It's okay, Aunt Linda. No, it's not okay. Do you know what your mother said when she called me? She said they were so busy helping Jake that they forgot your graduation was the same weekend. Forgot. Like it was a dentist appointment. That hit me harder than I expected. They forgot. After months of me bringing it up, after all the planning and reminders, they somehow forgot it was happening. She also said something that really bothered me, Linda continued. She said they didn't think you'd mind because you're not the type who needs a lot of fuss. What does that even mean? It means they think because I don't throw tantrums when I don't get attention, I don't actually want attention. That's ridiculous. Of course you want your parents at your graduation. Any parent should know that. Linda then told me something I didn't know. Apparently, my mom had been calling relatives for weeks asking if they could keep an eye on Jake during his transition back to school because she was worried about him being overwhelmed. She had time to arrange a support network for Jake's paperwork, but couldn't be bothered to show up for my graduation. That conversation with Linda made me realize something important. This isn't just about different parenting styles or helping the child who needs more support. This is about fundamental favoritism that my parents have been hiding behind good intentions. Jake gets preemptive support for challenges he might face. I get retroactive apologies for support I didn't receive. Jake's potential matters more than my actual achievements. When I pointed this out in another phone call with my parents, my dad said something that really crystallized the problem. But Jake struggles with things that come easily to you. Dad, nothing came easily to me. I just didn't make my struggles your problem. Well, maybe you should have. And there it is. The real issue isn't that they love Jake more. It's that they've created a system where love is measured by need and attention is earned through helplessness. I trained them to ignore me by being competent. Jake trained them to prioritize him by being incompetent. The tragedy is that I didn't choose to be the easy kid to make things harder for myself. I thought I was being helpful. I thought I was making them proud by not adding to their stress. Instead, I was teaching them that I didn't matter as much. I don't know how to fix this dynamic, or if it can be fixed. My parents seem genuinely sorry, but they also seem fundamentally unable to understand why their approach was wrong. They keep offering grand gestures, the belated party, expensive gifts, promises to do better. But what I really want is for them to understand that I shouldn't have had to demand basic recognition of my achievements. I shouldn't have had to beg them to show up for the most important day of my college career. I shouldn't have had to explain why their absence hurt. I shouldn't have had to compete with my brother's paperwork for their attention. The fact that they needed me to spell all of this out shows how fundamentally they misunderstood their role in my life. I'm not sure where we go from here. I love them, but I don't trust them to prioritize me when it matters. And I'm tired of having to argue for my own worth in my family. Maybe that's the real lesson here. Sometimes being the good kid means accepting that you'll always come second to the child who needs more help. The question is whether I'm willing to accept that dynamic for the rest of my life. Right now, I honestly don't know.